The theme of this summer's transfer window has been food chain. We are hearing it everywhere. Know your place in the food chain, because we've got the likes of Newcastle and Liverpool fighting in the battle of custody of Isak. We've got Spurs seemingly getting hijacked every single time they want to sign in. Arsenal going Lil Bro then. We've got Sunderland splashing the cash. So I thought, what better time than to explain the hierarchy of the Premier League food chain. And to clarify before anyone starts getting upset or offended, this is not who has the most trophies, who is the biggest club. This is just your transfer pool. Where do you rank in the food chain? How likely are players to join your team if you want them? So we'll start from the bacteria and the algae at the bottom. Then you get to the likes of your Plankton, who are trying to get up there, trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula, but they ain't really doing anything. You get the fish, the big fish, the sharks, the big sharks, and so you get the point. So without further ado, enough yapping. Obviously, you know the vibe by now. We're on the road to that 100k subscribers, so keep them coming if you're enjoying the daily videos. I'm trying to do something different every day. We kick off, of course, with Burnley. Let's keep it short and sweet. Nobody wants to go to Burnley, bro. There is nothing there for you in Burnley. They're trying to change their reputation of like a nice tiki-taka football team, you know, when they had company before and whatnot. Bro, ain't nobody want to go to Burnley. Next up, we have Leeds as well. Listen, big respect to Leeds, but you got to think, 20, 25 years ago, they were going from selling Hasselbank and replacing him with Mark Viduka to brothers like Patrick Bamford. Great fan base, you know, good atmosphere at the games, but as far as pull is concerned, they're rocking up with brothers that most of us have never heard of. Brentford also join the bottom category because, listen, you have one good season and suddenly, yeah, get me out of here. Brentford is like, you go there amongst all the NPCs to try and stand out a little bit, and the moment you get that slight bit of juice, one good season, off your pop. I've obviously rated, you know, Mbuemo for a while, but last year was his first year of properly, you know, being a bagsman, hitting good numbers, and immediately, he's off. Yohan Wissa, you know, after Tony dipped to Saudi, Yohan Wissa, now he's saying, listen, let me cut to Newcastle, I believe it is. We've seen their captain. As soon as Arsenal interested, yep, let me go. Their manager, Thomas Frank, even, if we're talking about the poll and whatnot. Spurs came knocking. He said, yeah, sorry guys, big respect Brentford, the G-Tech, but I'm off. So yeah, Brentford got to be in this low tier, unfortunately for them. We then have Bournemouth as well. Look, this one, it's not really their fault. They are just a team that seem to produce a lot of nice players. But again, a good season, 2 good seasons, they're off. They've done very well to hold on to Semenyo, to be fair to them, but in general, guys like Kirkes, who literally most of us would have heard of for the first time last season, guys like Dean Huijsen, a lot of people would have heard of him for the first time last season because he was, you know, baking off on loans when he was officially employed by Juve. So Bournemouth are going to be there. And the last team in this bottom category is Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think Madueke said it best. Nobody wants to go and live in the Midlands, bro. Big respect to everyone, but nobody wants to go and live in Wolverhampton. They done a nice little spell where they were signing, you know, the Portuguese players and whatnot. But realistically, is that moving anyone? I don't think so. We go up to the next tier, to our Planktons now. The ones that they want to try to do a little something, but they're just not quite that level yet. We start with West Ham. I'll be honest. They've got the London location, but other than that, they're not really doing much, guys. And especially, another thing, when we talk about transfer pool, an important factor you got to look at is how the fans react to things. So, in the last, you know, 3 years or whatever, they've lost Kudus, they've lost Declan Rice. Look at the fan reaction to when those players left. The way they slander you, the fans turn on you for trying to go to a bigger club. I wouldn't want to go and play there. You're going to abuse me when I give you my best. Now, in fairness, Kudus did not give his best towards the end, actually. So, let me be fair to them on that one. But regardless, the way they abuse guys for leaving, I wouldn't want to be going there. Joining them is Fulham. These guys, Fulham is basically for washed up London ballers in the most polite, respectful way possible, right? I'm seeing just this morning, Willian is again in training wearing a Fulham kit. He's going to go back there for the 3rd or the 4th time at the age of 40. Anyone that lives in London that is maybe not playing games for an Arsenal, for a Chelsea, whatever team it may be, say, you know what? Look, my family's comfy here. I don't really want to leave. Let's just go Fulham. Why not? Like, they don't really have any ops. No one's their massive rivals. They're just there, innit? Like, they don't really do anything. So, Fulham are there. Brighton joined them. People know that if I go to Brighton, yeah, they could probably push a little bit higher. But I think if you see the tier above, it's hard to break in. But they're close. Because you know in your head, if I'm a baller, I'm 19, 20, 21 years old, and I have a good season, I know Mr. Bloom and the whole Brighton staff, they would turn me into a 100 million player. To be fair to them, like, they've not got pull in terms of signing like proper well-established players, but they've got pull for maybe the FM nerds who want to sign those players that are hidden gems. So, you know, fair play to Brighton. Palace joined them. I mean, again, they've got the London heritage for them, so that always works in your favour, being able to live in London, although you can argue Croydon is slightly a completely new planet, but that's neither here nor there. They've got a fantastic manager in Glasner, and of course, they've shown that they can win trophies. It's a nice culture club. I think everyone just, I don't know, maybe, aside from the team that's in Brighton, to be fair, other than Brighton, I feel like everyone has a kind of soft spot for Palace. You don't really hate on them, even if you support a London team or a local team or someone competing for 10th, 12th, 13th. They're just, again, they're doing their thing. And the last team in this category is Sunderland. This is definitely the epitome of Plankton. They are trying to grab that Krabby Patty secret formula. They're signing everyone, and to be fair to them, a lot of them are players that, you know, were hot prospects as youngsters as well. And then you go the other end of the age spectrum, you've got Granit Xhaka, who was just over a year ago an invincible for Bayer Leverkusen. Said, you know what, like, Ten Hag is so bad, I want to come to Sunderland. They seem to be getting it, and they got more Leverkusen players as well. So I guess they're trying to make a comeback. Obviously, the Black Cats, we know them from mid-2000s. They were a decent Premier League outfit. They were never like up there, you know, fighting in the top half really, but they were a consistent Premier League team. Next up in the sort of the herring fish tier, if you will, we have Aston Villa. This is a team who they have, you know, crazy heritage, but again, it's not about who's the biggest club and the most successful or whatever. Aston Villa's thing is, to be fair to them, they seem to sign a lot of players that are like very well-established names that, again, have fallen off a little bit at their previous club. So basically like a much better version of Fulham, if you will. The likes of, let's say, you know, Coutinho trying to get his rep back. The likes of Asensio, Rashford. These are like players that at a point in time demonstrated world-class ability, but for whatever reason have kind of fallen out of favour at their former clubs. They go to Aston Villa to try to get their rep back. And to be fair, a lot of the times, the reason why Aston Villa even have that pull is because it tends to work. Look at Rashford. You know, he had an alright loan. He did not set the world on fire. He's gone to Barcelona. So in that case, you can't really argue with it. Next up, we have Newcastle. This is one where it's a techie one, right? They've got, you know, an incredible fan base. You're looking at Isak trying to leave, however. So although we may say that they should probably have more pull than this, we are seeing players, or their best player rather, try to force his way out. But then at the same time, it's why we speak about food chains, right? As Isaac is trying to go up, Newcastle are also trying to force other players to come true. We're seeing Wissa desperate to roll through. But then at the same time, guys, Newcastle are getting rejected for quite a few players. That is the problem here. Because, of course, they said, you know what? If Isak's going to go, no problem. Like, we have our price and we'll go and get Ekitike. Ekitike said, nah, I'm good, bro. And then he went and scored against them. And he started pointing to his, you know, the fans who now love him, the Liverpool fans. Newcastle are in that kind of middle ground now where they want to push on and become a superpower in the food chain, if you will. But at the same time, a lot of players are rejecting them. On that same tier, we're going to have 4 teams in this one. We've got Everton, obviously one of the longest serving clubs in England. David Moyes and a new stadium is low-key attracting players. I told you guys about Tieno Barry, you know, a year ago. That's someone that I think is a hot prospect. They've done very well to get him. Someone like Jack Grealish. I'll be honest, again, I didn't really understand the move that much because I felt as though he's going to be playing the same position as Ndiaye, who himself, by the way, is a fantastic baller that they've done miracles to keep him there. But bringing a 100 million player, you can argue whether or not he's actually worth 100 million. But bringing a 100 million player in Jack Grealish to the club because of, you know, again, he spoke to David Moyes and everyone speaking to Moyes and saying, you know what, I want to roll through. Look, they do have a bit of pull. And again, if we are using, again, last few years and whatnot as well, we've seen them bringing brothers like James Rodriguez out of nowhere. That time when they brought Alan as well, bro. They've had some serious players at Everton, I can't lie to you. And the last team here, Tottenham Hotspur. This one, I think this window has really shown that they may not be the superpower in the food chain that we thought. Because again, they are, in relative terms, obviously there's like the big five and then Spurs. But as far as transfer pool goes, which is what this video is about, well, basically every single target they want says, nah, I don't really feel like it. And then they go elsewhere. They go to Arsenal. They stay at Forest, for example. They just be doing anything but going to Spurs. And not only is it like rejecting Spurs, is the fact that when they hear Spurs are linked, they start calling other people like, yo, like, are you sure? Like, please, like, I will go to Spurs because it's Champions League football. They've got money. They do have, you know, a bit of pull. We've seen with Mohamed Kudus, for example. That's a fantastic signing they've made there. But other people, they're like, yo, are you definitely sure that I can't come to your team? Because if I can't, then all right, I will settle for Spurs. That's what Spurs are, basically. It's like I'll give you like an analogy, if you will. Maybe in life, there's someone that you're pursuing. You really want this person. But there's a little bit something that's missing there that you can't quite get the deal over the line. So you have like your slight roster, if you will. Like, okay, if this one's not going to work, I might chat to this one. I might see what this one's saying. How's the vibe going there? There's some green flags. And then when all else fails, yeah, do you know what Tottenham will do? Like, they're very polite. They'll look after me. Like, you're not really funny. It's not really great vibes. You're not a 10 out of 10. But you know, I can be here for now and then see how things go. That is what Tottenham have become in this window. And the fact that, you know, we're going to speak about another team shortly, but, you know, let's go there now. Because thanks to one man, this team is up here. Mr. Marinakis. Thank you, Mr. Marinakis. I mean, they have quite literally dunked on Spurs' head this very window. And the fact that Spurs basically had the here we go for Morgan Gibbs-White, and he still stayed at Forest, blimey. But again, it goes beyond that, because we can talk about like big clubs and they've got their 2 Champions Leagues. You can see their stars as well. Guys, let's not forget that Forest have pull, because the real football experts, you guys will know that Forest were the first team to ever spend over $1 million on the British transfer record when they signed Trevor Francis from, I believe it was Birmingham back in 1979. For those of us who remember. So when it comes to those big name signings, Forest have been there, bro. And Mr. Marinakis, single-handedly, I mean, he's bringing brothers from the favelas. He's bringing brothers from everywhere that are, again, young talents that are very rated at other teams, but then also established ballers as well. So I think Spurs and Forest are like on the edge there together, kind of battling it out, because the teams next to Forest are, now there's like a big jump, if you will, right? So Forest could have gone below, but I was making it kind of even, right? Where we're going 1 in the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's got to be 5 again because there's 20 teams. But again, you get the point. We go on to Liverpool. I can already imagine there's going to be a lot of vitriol thrown my way. But as you guys know in the long form videos, allow me to explain myself, and then you guys will kind of see where I'm coming from. Because Florian Wirtz has been the first player Liverpool have signed that is like a bona fide superstar. Someone that everyone unanimously rated extremely high. Prior to that, let's keep it 100% honest, they are, of course, a bigger club than some of the teams that are going to be, you know, above them here. But if we're talking transfer pool, if I start listing the names that have rejected these guys and gone to other teams, we would be here for a 1 hour, you know, podcast episode, right? The likes of Jude Bellingham, they were making graphics for because Trent was his friend and Hendo was his friend. They were making graphics for Enzo Fernandez to go to Liverpool. They were making graphics for Moises Caicedo to go to Liverpool. They were making graphics for Lavia to go to Liverpool. There's been so many players, bro. They were singing Zubi Dooby Doo, where are you? We've got some work to do now. He went to Arsenal. So we can list like a whole incredible list of names. Speaking of Arsenal, even, let's not forget, let's say Suarez, who, you know, I'm not a Suarez guy whatsoever, was like lighting up the Premier League. This guy said, let me go. I want to go to Arsenal. Please allow me to leave. Steven Gerrard, who, again, you guys know my love for Steven Gerrard this time. I think he is England's best midfielder since Sir Bobby Charlton. I think he's class. He wanted to go to Chelsea. There's just something about Liverpool. I don't know if it's the location. I cannot really tell you what it is, because, again, when it comes to history and trophies and Champions League, but they have all of that. Maybe it's the money, but I don't know, because they're spending money recently. But do not be like offended by what I'm about to say here. But you guys, you don't buy superstars. Rather, you know, you buy untapped potential, right? Players that are, you know, they're doing well, solid at their current clubs and you elevate them to like a crazy level, right? The likes of like, Van Dijk, Salah, Sadio Mane. So it's not a bad thing that you don't have Pool, and they don't have to do like, oh, like what a Pool trophy that is. Don't forget all of that. We're just talking about the food chain, and I think we can all shake hands and agree that like if there's players available and you want them, if these other teams want them above, they'll go to those other teams. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because guess what? You might have Premier League champions. You might have won 6 Champions Leagues. So please do not be upset by this. Joining them there, very close to going up, Manchester City. This one, obviously, it's more of a recent one. They're becoming like a really serious club. They can go to a couple of the teams above and go and pick their players. So they really, really were on the cusp of just putting that tier 2. I would have done so, but again, for the sake of symmetry, it had to be one team at the top and then 2 just below that. I mean, a lot of players go there obviously because, I mean, one, Pep is you could argue the best manager in Premier history. Him and Alex Ferguson, they win a lot of trophies, so trophies are nearly guaranteed, you could say. At the same time, some players, like someone that we're going to mention for another team, opt for these other teams because maybe they'd rather play for a club with maybe like a more culture, or they want to play for a team in London, or they want to try and get their team, over the line rather than being like another cog in the machine of Manchester City, right? Because City, they sign a lot of players for 30, 40, 50 million, and then by the next window, they're forgotten about. We don't even care about them anymore. Think of, bro, Kusanov. How much were they speaking about Kusanov after game 1? He obviously had a bad, first half. Second half, he was better. From that game, we don't even speak about him anymore. They're really talking about going to, go and get Mark Gahey and all these other brothers. So, it's a weird one with City, I'll be honest. Obviously, like Rice turned them down to go to Arsenal, but at the same time, Man City in general do tend to get the players that they want, so they can definitely be in that category above. There's a little bit something missing. I can't really explain to you what it is, to be brutally honest with you. A lot of them grew up not caring about Manchester City, right? We saw the likes of Robinho. He signed for them. My sources is Heinz Ketchup. My sources tell me there is a true story that when he went to City and he was signing, he thought that he was signing for Manchester United. They said, yeah, Manchester, come to Manchester. He's holding the blue shirt. He's thinking, raw. And that's a sick away kit, raw. United have got a nice away kit. They said, no. This is Etihad Stadium. This is Etihad. This is, please, this is Mark Hughes. They said, where's Sir Alex? Where's Fergie? It's changing, is what I'll say, because they've got the likes of Haaland, who was wanted by the world and whatnot. So, please, again, they can definitely be on the higher tier. Give it 3-4 years. I reckon their place in the transfer food chain goes above. For now, we have Arsenal. Obviously, we spoke about, Declan Rice picking them over City. We spoke about other players doing whatever. Somehow, some way, these guys still have Thierry Henry juice. Like 20 years later, bro. Every player comes up saying that, you know what? I want to be like Henry, bro. I watched Henry growing up. And to be fair, I get it, because like anyone in their 20s would have been old enough to watch Thierry Henry, right? You got the likes of Arsene Wenger, who everybody wants to play for him because they're playing, you could argue, the most beautiful football in England. And if you are the guy that, while I was speaking about the Rice thing, a lot of players in their head, if you're very competitive, you want to be the guy that takes a team that is not winning trophies over the line to have like a better legacy, rather than, let's say, a Grealish at City, where, cool, you're winning the trophies, but aside from that 3 or 4 month spell in the treble season, he's just been there collecting trophies but being like a bit part guy. So it's a balancing act, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's a very big balancing act. But as I said, they kind of snatched Zubimendi from Liverpool, when Liverpool were, again, a team that all but had signed him, it feel like, for the most people. I mentioned the Luis Suarez thing. You've got the London tax in there as well. You've got players calling up their agent saying, please, like, send me to Arsenal. I want to go to Arsenal. Of course, they have no Champions League to offer, but as we have seen over the years, somehow, some way, the Arsene Wenger and the Henry juice will last forever, because you know that, especially for like French-speaking nations, or France themselves, or African nations, Arsenal, and then the next thing that we're going to speak about are, in fact, I'll put them up there right now, Chelsea. These two teams, for any African player, in their 20s, or even teenagers, to be honest with you, these are the two teams that you're looking at thinking, I want to go there. Because they've got a history of signing these players and, again, making them, world stars. You got the likes of, for Chelsea we speak about now, the likes of Michael Essien, obviously came from Lyon, 24 million. You got Drogba, who Abramovich said just go to pay the money and bring him. So many players of African descent have signed for these teams and become incredible, you know, all-timers and legends at these clubs that naturally you've got the pool to go there. And both of these clubs reside in London, so again, it's the way of the world. Unfortunately, living in London is far more desirable than living in Liverpool, living in Merseyside, or living in Nottingham. With Chelsea, their thing is, another reason why they're up there, the pull of having the money, bro. 10-year contracts. Who doesn't want that, bro? You offer any random bum a 10-year contract, let me have that, mate. I'm happy. And another thing, they are a team that, yes, they've changed recently in terms of going for the youngsters and whatnot, but in general, their project, it doesn't really make sense. Their product is just to win trophies. That's it. Simple as that. It's to win. That is the philosophy. Win. They don't care about, like, let's grow the youngsters and then try get some academy players in the team and then, you know, have a process. It is just win at all costs. And many players like that, who wouldn't want to be part of a team that, again, is winning trophies if you can be the main part of it. So, you know, I think there's that, and that's why those two teams are there. Of course, both of these teams have been, you know, in the entire, let's say, last 20 years, if you will, have been there or thereabouts amongst that, you know, top 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case may be. The consistency being at the top for the last 20 years also gets you there, because so many people support these teams as kids. But no secret who's missing here. Of course, we go to the team at the top of the food chain. No matter how good or bad they are, these guys just have the pull. And again, I want you guys to understand that having transfer pull, it is not me doing, oh, what a trophy, whatever, because let's be honest, so many of these players go to Manchester United and it's their graveyard. The amount of number 7s that have gone there and they've begged to go back. We remember Alexis Sanchez playing the piano. Day one, he called his agent. This one is a factual story. He said it even on the interview. After one training session, he said, I want to go back. Depay, we know what happened. Di Maria robbed his own house because he wanted to leave, bro. But if we're talking about the food chain, these guys just finished 15th, bro. They spent 200 million on Sesko, Mbeumo, Cunha. Like, they are going crazy. Even when they were mid for, like, those standards back in the day, you know, when you're not really fighting for a title, bringing the likes of Ibrahimovic to your team. That is something that I don't believe an Arsenal or a Chelsea could really do. Like, there's just certain levels that you have to understand. When a player wants to go there and they have the money, what happens? Now, yeah, in the last, you know, year or two, let's say, the money seems to have dried up. Ineos, are you mad? Is now being spent on guys like Ugarte. So obviously, the pool that they have is maybe diminishing, but if we're doing it on a broader thing, like I said, for Liverpool, who are just about now getting up there to sign, you know, players that everybody wanted, United have had far too long of dominating the transfer market to have dropped down now. I mean, bro, look at Van Persie, for example, right? Van Persie was at Arsenal and was an Arsenal fan as a kid. The moment United came knocking, after one proper good year at Arsenal, he said, yeah, I'm off. Get me to Old Trafford, won the league in his very first season. So you can see how the food chain works, right? Realistically, if United want you, you're going. But even then, amongst all these 20 teams, they are just a tiny molecule in comparison to when the great whale arrives. Real Madrid. No matter what anyone does, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, when Real Madrid come knocking, it's over. Let's go, man. Go bring me the Champions League, bro. Look at the legends on this screen, bro. The likes of Puskas, Zidane, Raul, R9, Di Stefano, 1950s, for those of us who remember. They are the top of the food chain. Whatever they want, they will get it. And guess what? This is how you know they're bullies, bro. They won't even pay you 100 million or 200 million. No. They will tell you, yo, I want you. And you sit there and wind down your contract so they can get you for free. That is the epitome of a crazy food chain. But again, this is the Premier League one. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree? Do you disagree with any of them? I think Man City have been done by a little bit, because the more I think about it, they're definitely high up there. They probably could be on that tier. Keep liking the videos. Keep subscribing. Keep commenting. We're on the road to the 100k. Like I said, when we hit 50k, I'll start doing watch-alongs for you guys in a bit. Bosh.